You have a president who ran for president 4 years ago, promising hope and change, who has now turned his campaign into attack, blame, and defame. You see, if you don't have a good record to run on, then you paint your opponent as someone to run from. That was what President Obama said in 2008. It's what he's doing right now.
Well, if you thought the Obama administration's response to the Libya attack couldn't get any worse, you would be wrong. A short time ago, the Obama campaign just made things really bad. How? Well, Deputy Campaign Manager Stephanie Cutter blaming Governor Romney for turning the tragedy into politics.
You know, in terms of the politicization of this, you know, we are here at a debate, and I hope we get to talk about the debate. But the entire reason that this has become the political topic it is, it's because of Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. It's a big part of their stump speech, and it's reckless and irresponsible what they're doing.
The Romney campaign says the Obama campaign is wrong. In a statement tonight, the campaign said, the reason it is an issue is because, for the first time since 1979, an American ambassador was assassinated, and President Obama's foreign policy strategy of leading from behind is failing. Former senior advisor to President Reagan, Pat Buchanan, joins us. Pat, your thoughts about what Stephanie Cutter said?
I think it's complete nonsense, and I think she knows it. Look, this was the worst terrorist attack we've had since 9/11. Gangs of dozens of men with AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenades and mortars attacked and murdered the ambassador, then attacked a safe house. And some of our guys got away, and they reported it the very next morning or that night. It may have been in real time that this was a terrorist attack, and the ambassador is dead. And then to have 5 days later our UN ambassador come out and say on 5 television stations this was sort of a spontaneous attack that came out of a sort of a protest over some video made in California. Now, either she was misinformed or she deliberately misinformed us. I mean, Greta, I've been in the director of communications. You don't get on 5 television shows unless the administration has orchestrated that and they put you out there with a message to send. Now tonight, the vice president, he said we spoke up about the best intelligence we had at that time. But in the intelligence community, people the next day came back and said it was a terrorist attack. I think the vice president's going to make the news out of this because it's going to be followed up. It's going to be followed up by congressmen and journalists, and not simply by Romney and Ryan.
I think it's interesting that the Obama campaign has been using the L word against Romney, that he's a liar. And they have been dragging their heels on getting the facts out of this. One of the other things that she said tonight, and I don't think I think that she's a smart woman, so I don't think this was accidental, but she included this. She said, Congressman Ryan and the Republican allies in Congress have turned a national tragedy into a political circus. Now, the circus was created because of all the misinformation coming out of the White House. Then she goes on, the president has been focused on getting the facts, which is exactly not what's been happening, because the president's the one who's been resisting the facts, even a week later going on Letterman and still pushing that YouTube video thing when everybody and his brother knew that this was not a YouTube video. The State Department itself said that there was no protest going on outside Benghazi consulate. In fact, they said that it was normal, it was calm. And so the people who are focused on getting the facts, she says the president has been.
Well, you look, there was no protest. There was no video involved in any protest.
Why did they do this?
Right, why would they do this? Who would tell the UN ambassador to go out and say 5 days later it was a protest over a video that caused this whole spontaneous thing when that didn't happen? Where did they get the misinformation, the falsehoods, and who told her to go out and say these things?
And why would she? I mean, why would she do it?
I think there's only one of, listen, I'll tell you why. First, she volunteered to do it. My guess is, or was asked to do it and said, okay, I'll do it. This is what I'll go out and say. Who told her to say this when there is no intelligence, true intelligence, that that's what happened?
All right, the intelligence community says it didn't happen. The State Department says it didn't happen. And yet the White House pushes this out, this ridiculous YouTube story. What was their motive?
Well, he asked me, Joe Biden said, all of our people that went out and said these things based it on intelligence we were receiving at the time. In other words, they threw the intelligence community under the bus. They said the top intelligence guys on NSC, Clapper's Shop, State, and all the rest of them, this is is what they said. It wasn't our fault.
But Pat, yesterday there's testimony in a hearing, one of the members from the State Department, and she said the night that it happened, they first heard everything was calm at 8:30 p.m. outside the consulate. The ambassador walked outside, said goodbye to a Turkish diplomat, went back, and everything was calm. An explosion at 9:40 at the gate. And they had phone calls to the State Department in real time. They're making phone calls. The State Department was well aware of what was going on then. Had there been any protest, the State Department would have heard about it earlier in the day, and it's completely silent of it. So this is not, I mean, they knew it.
Look, there's one of two explanations. One is utter incompetence in getting the intelligence to the people, or the second thing is deceit.
I don't think you can't be incompetent on this, because there's nothing. Doesn't mean there was never anything to sort of.
Well, look, if they did have the intelligence and they put out a false story, they were deceiving and lying to the American people and misleading the American people. The only reason I could understand that they would do that, and this is why you would send somebody out, and this is surmise on my part, is you send her out there because we've got an excellent record on terror. The best thing we got going for us, we got bin Laden. This can't be a terrorist attack. We don't want to have a successful terrorist attack on our watch with gangs of people shooting them up. We didn't provide the security. This is what it came out of. This is what we think it was. Get past it. Get past November.
Let me add a little fuel to your theory. Is that yesterday there was testimony by one of the members is that the al-Qaeda is alive and well in Libya, and that it's growing, and that is certainly something that does not fit into the narrative of what has been said, where the president said that
al-Qaeda is alive in Mali, it's alive in Libya, it's alive in Yemen, it's alive in Iraq, it's alive in Syria. I mean, all of these places. This is where Ryan was correct tonight. You see an unraveling of the foreign policy of the President of the United States, because the cancer that we did contain in Afghanistan has metastasized, and it is all over the Near East, the Middle East, and North Africa.
Well, it'll be interesting to see when we have this foreign policy debate what the president has to say about this. Pat, thank you.
Thank you.
Straight ahead, the budget battle taking center stage in Kentucky. Congressman Paul Ryan is known for his economic wizardry, but how did he do against Vice President Biden? The former chairman of President Obama's Council of Economic Advisors, Austin Goolsbee, is here next.
We've got to tackle this debt crisis before it tackles us. The president likes to say he has a plan. He gave a speech. We asked his budget office, can we see the plan? They sent us to the press secretary. He gave us a copy of the speech. We asked the Congressional Budget Office, tell us what President Obama's plan is to prevent a debt crisis. They said, it's a speech. We can't estimate speeches. You see, that's what we get in this administration, speeches. But we're not getting leadership. Mitt Romney is uniquely qualified to fix these problems.